The Fall of Paris, June 14, 1940. In the early morning hours of June 14, 1940, one of the world's most iconic and culturally revered cities faced a moment that would echo through history. Paris, the heart of France, and a symbol of art, intellect, and revolution, fell into German hands without a single major battle fought within its streets. It was a collapse that stunned the world and marked one of the most symbolic moments of the Second World War. To understand how such a mighty capital fell so swiftly, we must revisit the events that led France to this defining point. The story truly begins in May 1940 with Germany's sudden and devastating offensive across Western Europe. Launching their invasion through the Ardennes forest, German panzer divisions broke through French lines at Sedan and advanced with incredible speed toward the English Channel. Their strategy, blitzkrieg, focused on rapid movement, constant pressure, and overwhelming force. Within days, the French army, once considered one of the most powerful in the world, found itself struggling to form new defensive lines as German troops bypassed fortifications and sowed chaos in the rear. France had entered the war confident. The Maginot Line, believed to be impregnable, formed the backbone of its defensive strategy. But the French High Command had misjudged both the terrain and the German military's willingness to take bold risks. The Ardennes, thought to be unsuitable for tanks, became the route of the most devastating armored thrust of the war. As the Germans advanced, French communication systems collapsed. Orders were lost or delayed, and entire units became isolated. By late May, the British Expeditionary Force and many French units were encircled near Dunkirk. Their desperate evacuation, though heroic, left behind heavy equipment and weakened the defense of the French mainland. Morale plummeted. Refugees flooded the roads, clogging routes needed for troop movements. A sense of panic began to spread, and the government struggled to maintain control. As the Germans pressed southward, they captured city after city. Even the rivers that had once served as natural barriers, the Somme, the Aisne, and the Marne, fell one after another. By early June, the French army was experiencing a near-complete breakdown. Many soldiers fought bravely, but strategic direction had evaporated. The collapse was not simply military, it was psychological. By June 10th, the French government, led by Prime Minister Paul Reynaud, evacuated Paris for Bordeaux. The departure sent shockwaves through the population. If the government was fleeing, many wondered, was there any hope left? With the government gone, the city was officially declared an open city, meaning it would not be defended. This decision was made to protect civilians and prevent Paris, filled with centuries of unmatched architecture and art, from being destroyed in street fighting. Residents who remained in the city reported an eerie silence as rumors swirled that the Germans were only hours away. The once bustling boulevards emptied. Historic landmarks such as Notre Dame, the Louvre, and the Eiffel Tower stood still in the quiet that preceded the German arrival. At dawn on June 14, German forces marched into Paris. Motorized infantry, tanks, and Wehrmacht columns moved through the city's grand avenues with calculated precision. The swastika flag was hoisted above key buildings, including the Hôtel de Ville and the Eiffel Tower. German soldiers posed for photographs at famous landmarks, while Nazi officers set up command centers in luxurious Parisian hotels. The city had fallen without a fight, but the emotional impact was immense. The fall of Paris was not only a military disaster for France, it was a psychological defeat for the entire free world. Paris had long been seen as the cultural heart of Europe, a city of enlightenment, creativity, and democracy. Seeing it under Nazi occupation sent shockwaves across the globe. Newspapers from New York to Moscow printed headlines expressing disbelief. For Parisians, life under occupation changed overnight. Curfews were established. German patrols filled the streets. Signs in German appeared on public buildings. Radio stations broadcast Nazi propaganda. Jews and political dissidents were targeted almost immediately. While cafes and cultural sites remained open to maintain a sense of normalcy, everything was controlled. The humiliation of defeat weighed heavily on France, and just 8 days after the fall of Paris, the French government signed an armistice with Germany on June 22, 1940. France was divided into 2 zones: the German-occupied North, including Paris, and the collaborationist Vichy government in the South. Yet, even in defeat, resistance began to form. Some Parisians engaged in acts of defiance, removing German posters, secretly helping downed Allied pilots, or transmitting intelligence. Meanwhile, Charles de Gaulle broadcast his famous appeal from London, urging the French people to continue the fight. This call sowed the seeds of the French resistance, which would grow into a powerful underground movement. The occupation of Paris lasted for more than 4 years. During this time, the population endured shortages, fear, censorship, and oppression. But Parisians never lost their spirit. Libraries continued to operate. artists still created and writers continued to express their thoughts, albeit secretly. Paradoxically, the occupation reinforced the city's identity and resilience. The liberation finally came in August 1944, when Allied forces entered Paris and freed the city after days of uprising. Images of celebrating crowds and the return of freedom contrasted sharply with the grim photographs of June 1940. Paris had risen again. Today, the fall of Paris stands as a reminder of the fragility of even the greatest nations.